money to upgrade it. So between those two things, they made the financial decision to shut it down, and that was devastating to the community of Ketchikan, because back then there were no cruise ships coming here on a daily basis. The only thing Ketchikan had was this pulpwood mill and the small businesses and the people supporting it. It sat empty for a long time. It was terribly polluted due to all the chemicals that we use in the process here. It was finally cleaned up, and it was bought by the two local families who own it now. They've entered into a long-term contract with Carnival, with Norwegian, and several other smaller cruise lines to operate what we have here. It started about the time COVID hit, so like everything else in the industry, it sat empty for a year or more. So it's only been operating just a few years. As we make this right turn, if you'll look to your right, you'll see not only your two boats, but you'll see a smaller blue boat. That is a retired State of Alaska passenger and car ferry. Here in Alaska, the ferry system is operated like and thought of much like the road system that you and I are accustomed to. That was one of the larger boats in the fleet, so think of that boat as an interstate highway. It would have picked up in the Seattle area, came up the Inside Passage just like you're doing, and dropped off at the relatively larger communities in the area. You would get off that larger boat, get on the smaller ferry boats. Those smaller ones would take you to the smaller communities in the area. When that boat was retired, it was bought by the people who own Ward Cove, and that is now where we live. There's about 100 of us that live on that boat throughout the cruise season. In addition to having my nice ocean view cabin, we have a fully stocked and staffed kitchen, so they feed us a couple meals a day. And because it was a car ferry, the lower bottom level is just a big open space. Well, that's become our playground. We have kayaks, Zodiac boats, e-bikes, yoga mats, basketball goals, all kind of play toys down there. So when you guys are sailing away up on the Lido eating your cheeseburger, we start pulling out toys and we start playing. We are in the Tongass National Forest. The Tongass is the largest national forest in the United States. It covers an area about the size of West Virginia, or about twice the size of Maryland. We're also in a rainforest. We get well over 150 inches of rain here a year, but only about 2 to 3 foot of snow. So if you were like me and thought of Alaska as cold and snowy, that's not exactly the case here in Ketchikan. Due to the influence of the Pacific Ocean, it doesn't get terribly cold here for long periods of time. Most winters, cities like Chicago and Detroit have much harsher winters than they have here. I worked my first 4 years as a trooper. I was in Saluda County, kind of down below Greenwood. But after that, I transferred back to the upstate and worked Greenville, Pickens, Anderson, Oconee, and Spartanburg. You look to your left, you'll see the rock there. The whole island is just a big rock that got pushed up out of the ocean, and they only have about a foot of topsoil here. So those two things combined with all the rain they get poses a problem. They have landslides here quite often. You may remember in the national news, last August there was a landslide that unfortunately killed a gentleman in town. I'll try to remember to point that area out to you as we get closer to town. Also, just a month or so ago, there was a landslide up near us here in Ward Cove. Luckily nobody was injured, but it did damage a house and block a road for a couple days. Just crossing over Cannery Creek. At one point there was dozens of canneries or fish processing factories here on the island. The salmon population was almost wiped out due to all the commercial fishing. Luckily, because of the regulations that's been put into place, the salmon population is back, and we still have a handful of commercial canneries left on the island. We're just entering the actual city limits.